Incredible heartwarming rescue, humpback whale saved from unexpected anaconda attack exposed. The air was thick with anticipation. Charlie's heart raced as he paddled his weathered boat into the open waters, the sun warming his skin and the salty breeze peppering his face with memories of his daughter, Lily. It had been 2 long, lonely years since the love of his life had been taken from him, leaving him with the weight of raising their spirited 10-year-old by himself. Today, however, the ocean whispered promises of hope as he cast his nets, yearning for a catch that could ease their struggle. But fate had an extraordinary plan. Just as Charlie reached for the edge of his net, he spotted a magnificent sight: a humpback whale, glimmering under the waves, imprisoned in a thorny embrace of discarded nets. His breath caught. He had seen many wonders in the sea, but this was a moment he couldn't ignore. The graceful giant thrashed about, its beautiful body twisting in a desperate fight for freedom. Charlie's chest tightened. "I have to help," he whispered, knowing that time was of the essence. As he maneuvered the boat closer, he caught sight of a glimmer just beneath the surface: an anaconda, silently poised to strike. Sensing the danger, Charlie wrestled with his instincts: action or safety? The sounds of a desperate marine life echoed in his mind. Wealthy outsiders saw this magnificent creature as their ticket to fame. Local fishermen like him recognized the true cost of such exploitation. "No!" he shouted into the wind. "I won't let them take you." Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With determination overcoming his fear, Charlie shouted for help. Soon, a coalition of townsfolk arrived, their faces a mix of concern and fierce resolve. They gathered, strong and united, willing to stand against the encroaching corporate interests that threatened their beloved ocean. Charlie felt a swell of hope rise in his chest. It was the town he'd known forever, a place where the spirit of community thrived alongside the salt of the sea. Yet conflict loomed closer to home. His brother Jake, a businessman drenched in ambition, arrived seeking to profit from the whale's capture, deepening the rift between them. "Bro, you don't get it," Charlie argued, pain heavy in his voice. "This is about more than just money." As day turned to dusk, Charlie embarked on a rescue mission, heart-pounding. Each pull on the nets felt like a tug of war for the very soul of the community. The anaconda lingered nearby, a silent reminder of the risks. Suddenly, an unexpected twist of fate threatened everything. The whale surged, dragging Charlie closer to the anaconda's lethal grasp. Would he manage to save the whale, maintain his family's honor, and reconcile with Jake, or would misunderstandings and ambition keep them shackled? The answer hung in the air, as heavy as the salty sea breeze, leaving everyone breathless with anticipation. Charlie fought for his balance as the whale bucked beneath the surface, pulling him deeper into the chaos of the moment. The anaconda's slithering body glimmered ominously in the water, a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. Fear gripped him, but so did a fierce determination. He was not just fighting for the whale, he was fighting for Lily, for his memories of love and hope that flooded his heart every time he looked toward the sea. "Help me," he yelled, his voice stark against the splashing water. The townsfolk rallied, a chorus of voices mixed with shouts of encouragement and anxiety. They navigated their boats, edging closer to his, casting ropes and nets in a desperate attempt to save the colossal creature. "Charlie!" Jake's voice rose above, his tone laced with urgency. "We need to get the nets off now. It can't breathe." A moment of hesitation flickered in Charlie's mind, the weight of family versus the weight of the sea, their long-standing rivalry against the bonds of kinship. But then he saw the whale's grand body struggle, a powerful reminder of life's fragility. He couldn't let greed hollow out their shared bloodline, nor allow it to drown out the quiet whispers of right and wrong. Charlie locked eyes with Jake. "You can step aside, or you can help. With a deep breath, Jake nodded, their common ground found in a shared love for the ocean and all its inhabitants. Together, they waded into the water, hands grasping for any part of the tangled nets they could reach. Each snip of the rope felt like a slice of freedom, a sound echoing through the air, drawing gasps from their makeshift crew. As the crew worked in tandem, the whale offered momentary bursts of movement, thrashing against their grip as if sensing its impending relief. Charlie's heart raced wildly, the sheer size and grace of the creature overcoming him. It was a dance of life and death, and he was right in the middle. Suddenly, chaos erupted when the anaconda lunged, eyes focused solely on Jake, who was just behind Charlie. "Look out!" Charlie shouted, adrenaline surging through him. Hearing the warning, Jake turned in disbelief, panic striking his features. Without thinking, Charlie pushed his brother aside, feeling the rush of water as the anaconda struck, a blur of scales and sheer instinct. Jake plunged back into the boat, eyes wide with horror. "Charlie," he began, but Charlie didn't have time for explanations. He wrestled his way towards the whale, reaching for the tangled net with a singular focus. Finally, the last of the ropes fell away and the whale surged upward, breaching the surface, water cascading off its back in shimmering drops that glowed like diamonds in the fading dusk. The townsfolk erupted into cheers, palms raised in jubilation, renewed hope flooding the coastal air. At that moment, Charlie felt a powerful rush, a mix of relief and triumph. But what he hadn't counted on was the sudden stillness that followed. The weight of the anaconda lingered, its eyes now fixated on him, waiting for the next move. In a heartbeat, the whale dove, and the surface smoothed out again, as if nothing had ever happened. Charlie turned toward the boat, heart pounding, but the real battle, the one within their family, was far from over. "Charlie, are you okay?" Jake asked, concern replacing the initial shock on his face. "We're all okay. But we need to figure this out together," Charlie replied, a hint of reconciliation in his voice. Uncertainty crept in again as they stood side by side. Could they truly reconcile the divide twisted by ambition? The ocean watched them, mystery swirling in the depths, as the hints of evening light began to fade. Charlie took a breath, feeling the tide of change. Was the true struggle against the dangers of the deep, or what lingered at the surface, threatening the very foundation of family? The air hung thick with tension as Charlie and Jake stood at the edge of their small boat. Waves lapped against the hull, rhythmic yet unsettling, echoing the internal storm brewing within them. The shimmer of victory over the whale faded almost as quickly as it had come, overshadowed by the remnants of the anaconda's threat. Charlie could feel the weight of his brother's gaze, a mix of gratitude and confusion that swallowed the moment. "Did you really just push me like that?" Jake finally asked, eyes narrowed. "What if something happened to you?" "I wasn't thinking," Charlie admitted, his hands trembling. I couldn't let you be its target. We had to save the whale. That was all that mattered." The words hung in the air, tangled like the nets they had fought against. The twin currents of family loyalty and the love for the ocean waged war within him. Charlie knew Jake didn't fully understand. Not yet. As the adrenaline subsided, the warmth of the cheering townsfolk faded, replaced by a tangible coldness. Cautious glances flitted between the two brothers. Charlie picked up a loose line and wrapped it around his hands, needing a task to anchor him, to ground the swirling doubts. "Look, we did something good today. We saved a life," Jake said, but his voice cracked slightly. "But we can't keep doing this. It's dangerous out here, with that creature lurking around." Charlie met his brother's eyes, aflame with a mix of defiance and sorrow. "You mean my creature, Jake? The one that you want to hunt down and sell?" The words slipped out before he could reel them back, raw and jagged, but the tension sparked a shift in their dynamic. "Well, that's a different story." Jake threw back, voice rising as he gestured wildly. "You don't understand what's at stake here. The money we could make would change everything for our families." "And at what cost?" Charlie shot back, heart racing again. "We'd lose something much bigger than money. It's not just about us. It's about everything we grew up loving, this ocean, its creatures. Don't you remember? A moment stretched out in silence that felt heavy, thick with old memories and that familiar ache, both brothers burdened by expectations their family and community had set on them. Charlie could feel the tide pulling at him, each wave carrying whispers of what could be lost. Just then, a flicker caught his eye in the distance. A shadow danced beneath the surface, too large to ignore. Instinct kicked in. "Jake!" he exclaimed, pointing. "Look!" The water broke again, this time not with the grand leap of a whale, but with the sleek, menacing form of the anaconda, coiling through the depths. The townsfolk went silent, a collective gasp rising in the air as all eyes turned to the creature, its movements predatory and purposeful. Charlie watched as the creature sliced through the water, knowing it wouldn't rest. They hadn't just saved the whale, they had unwittingly enraged the very predator that had threatened their moment of triumph. And now, it would not let them leave so easily. "Get ready," Charlie urged, the urgency rushing back. "We have to find out where it's heading. We have to protect what we've saved." As he prepared to navigate into the uncertain waters, Charlie sensed a shift beside him. Jake stepped forward, determination replacing the previously held doubts. "Together, right?" he asked, a tentative thrill sparking anew between them. "Together," Charlie echoed, their shared mantra carrying a nascent hope, but as they steered the boat toward the now turbulent waves, neither of them could shake the sensation that they were not the only hunters on this journey. The ocean loomed ominously, a reminder that even victories can have hidden costs, and somewhere in that endless horizon, a deeper danger awaited, one that could tear them apart if they weren't careful. What would they discover next? The boat rocked under their feet, but Charlie and Jake held their course, hearts pounding. The Anaconda's shadow rippled below, a constant reminder of the danger lurking just out of sight. It wasn't just any creature, it was a manifestation of their fears and their responsibilities. "Charlie, we need a plan," Jake said, urgency creeping into his voice. He cast a wary glance over the side, as if expecting the snake to leap up at any moment. "How do we even know where it went? Should we call for help?" His brother shook his head. "We can't wait for help. We've already lost valuable time. If it's after the whale, we have to act fast." Jake clenched his fists, steeling himself. "All right, but we need to be careful. We can't let what happened before happen again," he warned, a hint of panic creeping back. Charlie nodded, determination settling into his bones. He was used to leading them through storms, both on land and sea. Once more, he felt that responsibility wash over him. "We'll find that whale, and then we'll distract the anaconda. If we work together, we can save them both." With every ounce of faith he had in his brother, Charlie turned the throttle, sending the boat racing into the waves. The hum of the engine mixed with the roiling sound of the sea, drowning out their fears at least for a moment. As waves splashed against the hull, Charlie squinted into the depths. The water was a mesmerizing blue, but it was also hiding secrets. Shadows darted, an unsettling reminder that below the surface, life was a battleground. Jake leaned closer, eyes scanning. "Look!" he shouted, pointing. A breach, a flash of white. "There! The whale!" Adrenaline surged through Charlie. "We can do this," he encouraged, staring straight ahead, steering toward the huge creature that had just broken the surface. But the moment of hope was shattered. The water surged again, and the unmistakable form of the anaconda thrust itself into view, its long body slicing through the waves. "No. Not now!" Jake gasped, gripping the edge of the boat. The anaconda was angrier than before, its presence a chaotic dance of muscle and fury. Charlie's heart raced. "We need to keep the whale safe. It's right there." He reached into his bag, grabbing a harpoon line. "If I can hook it, we can pull it to safety." Jake looked at him incredulously. "Are you crazy? That could make it worse." Charlie took a deep breath, hope warring with fear in his eyes. "It's a risk we have to take. We can't let it die. If we let fear paralyze us, then we've already lost." He could see the conflict in Jake's eyes, the brother torn between instinct and what felt right. But, What if it goes wrong? Jake finally stammered. Then we face it together. Charlie shouted, roused by the urgency of their situation. They shared a look of silent agreement, and with that, Charlie readied the harpoon, his muscles tensing for the launch. The ocean roared as if in response, a wild heartbeat syncing with the boys' escalating breaths. In that suspended moment, when time seemed to stand still, they realized this was more than just about saving a fishing trip. It was about saving each other. But danger lurked, and choices were nearing that would define them. As the harpoon sailed toward the whale, Charlie felt a chill pass over him. Would it be enough? Or would this decision tear them apart for good? The horizon darkened with apprehension, heat of battle waiting on the edge of their grasp. What would happen when both creatures collided, and who would rise, battered but alive? The harpoon cut through the air, a blur against the backdrop of churning waves. Time stretched as Charlie watched it sail, desperate hope radiating from his core. The enormous whale glided further into view, its majestic form glistening under the sun, but the real danger loomed just below the surface. Jake held his breath as the harpoon struck the water, expecting an immediate reaction. Would it bind the whale, creating a lifeline, or would it endanger them all? With anxiety gripping him, he leaned forward, eyes fixed on the creature. "Come on, please," Charlie whispered, willing the whale to respond. A moment of uncertain stillness passed. Then, as if recognizing the help offered, the whale responded by turning towards the brothers, curiosity evident in its enormous eye. "Wait. It senses us!" Jake shouted, his voice cutting through the tension. He grasped Charlie's arm, both of them stunned by the unexpected connection. The whale was alive, aware, it understood they were here to help. But their moment of hope shattered again. The Anaconda's massive form lurked just beneath the surface, the water swirling ominously around it. It seemed more determined than before, sensing the boys' efforts to save the whale, and it surged forward with renewed rage, its long body rising like a storm tide. "Steer us away, Charlie!" Jake yelled, panic gripping his voice as he pointed toward the approaching danger. The anaconda was coming fast, and the boys were right in its path. Charlie yanked the throttle, turning the boat to face the wave of danger. "Hold on," he commanded as the boat lurched under them. They were caught in the tug-of-war between their two targets, the gentle giant above and the ferocious serpent below. With his heart pounding, Charlie dropped the harpoon back into the boat and grabbed the wheel, sensing the need for speed. "We've got to distract it," he shouted. He glanced over to see Jake already reaching for the buoy. "If we can throw this in its direction, maybe it'll shift its focus." "Good idea," Jake replied, adrenaline sparking in his eyes. He quickly readied the buoy, bracing himself. "On 3. 1, 2, 3. They hurled the buoy into the water ahead of the anaconda. It landed with a loud splash, sending ripples that distorted the surface. Immediately, the serpentine creature turned toward the sound, its head rearing up. "Now!" Charlie roared, revving the engine as they sped away from the whale towards the buoy, hoping to draw the snake's fury away from their colossal friend. The boat roared over the waves, pulling them through an ever-darkening tide. But right before their eyes, they witnessed something extraordinary. The whale began to move, its broad tail slicing through the surface, propelled by the instinct to escape the imminent danger. In that dazzling moment, the water erupted around the gentle giant thrashed against the encroaching anaconda, a dance of desperation between predator and prey. Yet fear surged through Charlie as the anaconda redirected its focus back to the whale, its body gliding fast and stealthy like a shadow. "No. Not again!" he shouted, urgency seizing him. "We can't let it happen!" Jake cried, eyes wide with fear for the whale, the bond they had forged with the creature solidified in that moment of peril. "We have to do something quick." Charlie's mind raced. They needed another strategy. "We'll create noise, something to keep the anaconda off balance." "Get whatever you can." Jake nodded, fumbling about the boat, grabbing anything that could make a ruckus: an old fishing net, some cans, and even a life vest. Together they began banging and shouting, attempting to distract the creature, their hearts pounding in unison. As the chaos erupted behind them, the real question loomed: would their efforts be enough to protect the whale? And as the waves crashed all around, would their bond be tested in ways they had never imagined? The water churned and thrashed as shadows flickered beneath two creatures struggling for survival in an intense clash, and within that struggle lay the fate of the boys, the whale, and perhaps even the anaconda itself. Would they emerge united or torn asunder as the battle raged on? Charlie's heart raced as he glanced back at the chaotic scene behind them. The whale was thrashing, the anaconda rising and coiling, ready to strike. "We can't just make noise, we need a plan," he shouted, determination piercing through the fear amalgamating in his chest. "A plan?" Jake looked at him, desperation flickering in his wide eyes. "Do you have one?" "Yeah." Charlie nodded, vocalizing an idea that had only just crystallized in his mind. "We can use the flares. If we can dazzle that thing, maybe it'll turn away." Jake's face lit up with a flicker of hope. "All right. Where are they?" "In the emergency kit." Charlie pointed. "Grab them." Jake scrambled below deck, his hands fumbling to find the flares as every second felt like an eternity. Charlie turned his focus back to the whale. "Come on, buddy. We're gonna get you out of this, I promise." The whale continued to fight, its body breaking through the surface, a beautiful yet tragic sight. Jake emerged, holding the flares triumphantly like a torch of hope. "I got them." "What now?" "We'll shoot them towards the anaconda. It'll light up the water and create a distraction. Then we can steer back to the whale and help it." Charlie swiftly maneuvered the boat to line up with the anaconda's path. "On three?" Jake asked, catching his breath. "Yeah, but let us do it once we're closer. We need to make sure it sees them." Charlie's fingers almost trembled, gripping the steering wheel tighter. The anxiety was a tangible thing, swirling in the humid air, thick enough to cut. Each moment seemed filled with the potential for both disaster and salvation. The anaconda coiled closer, its scaled skin glinting ominously in the dying afternoon light. "Now!" Charlie shouted as they closed in. Jake lit the flare, the brilliant red light igniting the air with its crackling intensity. He hurled it towards the water, the flame lighting up the darkness, tracks of orange and red flashing across the waves and illuminating the majesty of the whale nearby. The anaconda froze. For a heartbeat, it was stunned, captivated by the sudden burst of light. The brothers held their breath as the creature's gaze shifted, caught in the blaze of their desperate act. "Look! It's working!" Jake yelled. The anaconda faltered, its focus drawn towards the flare, and in that precious instant, Charlie slammed the throttle down and sped the boat back towards the whale. The gentle giant was still struggling, but now it was free. The anaconda was momentarily disoriented. "Almost there!" Charlie shouted, feeling hope surge anew. As they drew near, Charlie grabbed the harpoon once more. "We can bind it with the harpoon now, Jake." "Hold on." Jake steadied himself, heart pounding. "Just give me a target." With fierce determination, Charlie maneuvered the boat closer, ready to aid the creature that had, in a flash, become part of them. But before they could make their move, the anaconda, a raging beast, refocused its sights on the boys once again, flicking its tail in their direction like a gale-force wind. "Charlie! Look out!" Jake shouted, eyes wide in terror. The reality of their predicament settled in. They were exposed, reckoning with both the wonder of nature and its primal fury. Would they manage to save the whale, or would they fall victim to the savage dance raging beneath the waves? With the fate of the gentle giant and their own lives hanging in the balance, the battle was far from over. Would the brothers find a way to rescue the whale and themselves before it was too late? The anaconda's tail slammed into the water like thunder, sending a shockwave through the boat. Charlie ducked, reflexively swerving the steering wheel, narrowly avoiding the force that could have upended them. "Hold on, Jake!" he shouted, adrenaline racing through his veins. "Don't let it get us!" Jake yelled back, his eyes wide with panic as he gripped the side of the boat. They were in the eye of the storm, and the tension was almost unbearable. The whale, still struggling to right itself, seemed to sense the urgency. Its great eyes met Charlie's, filled with a pleading desperation. In that moment, Charlie felt a connection, a bond forged by the instinct to survive and protect. "Okay," Charlie breathed. "We need another flare. One more shot should do it." He tossed the harpoon aside, unwilling to risk a wild throw when the creature was so close. "Jake, get ready to launch it again." Jake nodded, heart pounding against his ribcage. He grabbed the remaining flare, nerves high as he prepared to ignite it. "Just tell me when." Closer now, the anaconda shifted its massive body, clearly angered. It reared up, displaying its full girth, exposing its terrifying gaze. "Now!" Charlie shouted. With practiced precision, Jake lit the flare and hurled it straight at the serpent. The air crackled as the flare shot through the air, a beacon of defiance. It landed in the murky water with a hiss, the brilliance of the flame illuminating the darkness once more. The anaconda jerked back, consumed by confusion and fury. It was a momentary win, but Charlie knew they had to act fast. "Come on," he urged, speeding towards the whale, desperation igniting every nerve in his body. The gentle giant twisted, its breath hissing in the twilight. Charlie reached for the harpoon again. "Get ready to guide me, Jake. Focus on me and the whale." "Got it." Jake's voice was steady now, anchored by purpose. As they neared the whale, its body submerged slightly under the water, it began to thrash less violently. Charlie could see small wounds on its fluke from the anaconda's earlier attempts to ensnare it, making his heart ache. They had to save it before the serpent returned to its senses. The brothers positioned the boat skillfully, inching closer. "Now!" Charlie shouted, shooting the harpoon forward, aiming for the broad area between the whale's massive pectoral fins where it could bind without harming the creature. With a gentle tug, they would create a lifeline. Jake secured the rope attached to the harpoon, his hands trembling. "I can't believe we're really doing this," he murmured, mingling with anxiety. "Don't think, just act." Charlie's heart raced as he felt the weight of their task. They steadied their breath, and the world around them seemed to fade away. In that single moment, it was just them and the whale. The line caught, and for a fleeting instant, this felt like a win. But that split second vanished as the anaconda turned, its fury unleashed again, eyes locked on their boat with relentless hunger. Charlie's heart sank. They had distracted it, but it remembered. "Charlie, it's coming back!" Jake shouted, pointing frantically. Just as a thick coil of the serpent surged from beneath the waves, Charlie made a split-second decision. "We have to pull, now. It's a two-way street. Help the whale." With every ounce of strength, they began to pull the harpoon back, feeling the whale lurch beneath the water. Would it be enough? Would they succeed in saving it at the last second, or had they stirred the fury of the predator one too many times? With the snake en route, thundering through the water, the next few moments would decide everything. Would they be the heroes of this story, or would they be swallowed by the jaws of nature's wrath? The answers felt eerily close, yet impossibly far. The moment felt like a dream teetering on the edge of a nightmare. Charlie's heart pounded louder than the roar of the storm, and he fought the urge to look back at the approaching anaconda. Instead, he focused on the tension in the harpoon line. Would the whale respond to their efforts? "Come on, come on," Jake whispered to himself, as if summoning strength from the depths of hope. They felt the whale begin to stir, a gentle shudder that sent ripples across the water. Charlie could barely breathe. He hoped this was a sign. Suddenly, the anaconda emerged, its sinuous body slicing through the waves. It was straight for them, hunger radiating from every scale. The brothers exchanged a quick glance, an unspoken agreement. They had to make this work. "Pull harder," Charlie roared, straining against the weight of the harpoon. The line dug into his hands as he leaned back with all his might, synchronized with Jake's desperate pull. They could feel the whale's immense power shifting beneath them, pushing against the harpoon as if it understood their intent. In that chaotic moment, Charlie felt something shift inside him. The dread of failure, or worse, of witnessing death, was overshadowed by a fierce determination. "We can save it," he yelled, his voice cracking but resolute. The thought resonated deep in his heart. As the whale surfaced again, gasping for air, its enormous body glimmered under flickers of lightning. The sight was both magnificent and terrifying. Charlie could see it struggle, its enormous tail splashing helplessly against the water as the anaconda lunged again, snapping dangerously close. "Just a little more," Jake shouted, sweat beading on his forehead. With every pull, the weight of the harpoon felt like a ton, but Charlie forced himself to push harder. The fear clawed at his chest, louder than the roaring wind. Then, all at once, there was a lurch, and the harpoon caught on something solid. Charlie's eyes widened. "We've got it. Keep pulling, Jake." With newfound strength, the brothers strained against the harpoon line. They could feel the whale's resolve blooming beneath the surface. But just as they began to sense hope, the anaconda made a final, furious charge. It lunged at the brothers, rearing its head like a living nightmare, the gaping mouth filled with teeth glinting menacingly. "Charlie!" Jake screamed, panic surging through him. In that heartbeat, time slowed. The predator's eyes locked on Charlie, and the fear welled up inside him, but he couldn't look away. Something deep inside reflected the truth: if they didn't act now, one would pay the ultimate price. "Jake, distract it. Now." Charlie's voice pierced the tension. Without hesitation, Jake scooped up the remaining flares, igniting them one after the other. They burst into the night sky, bright pinwheels illuminating their desperate surroundings, drawing the serpent's attention away. The anaconda flinched and turned, giving Charlie the moment he needed. "Pull now. With everything you've got." Jake and Charlie leaned back, their muscles screaming, pulling as hard as they could. They could feel the tension grow in the line. The whale was responding, fighting back with them. And then an explosion of fury erupted from the water. The whale broke the surface, a tremendous spray scattering droplets like diamonds against the stormy backdrop. It was free, yet still they could hear the furious hissing of the snake, thrashing and striking at the air. "Is it done?" Jake gasped, panting heavily, heart hammering, but Charlie's gaze was set on the dark waters. "Not yet. We still have to get out of here." Just then, the water began to churn violently, foreshadowing the anaconda's return. The brothers stood frozen, realizing that victory would be hollow if they didn't escape the monster's wrath. Would they make it out of this alive? "Charlie, we have to move," Jake urged, the fear creeping back into his voice. As they scrambled to regain control of the boat, reality hit like a freight train. The storm raged on, and the night was still far from over. The adrenaline pulsed through Charlie's veins as the chaos unfolded. The anaconda's hiss echoed like a death knell above the storm, reminding him time was a luxury they didn't have. The whale was free, yes, but in desperate need of survival, and so were they. "Grab the oars," Jake shouted, urgency lacing his tone. Charlie's hands moved instinctively, reaching for the oars as the world around them turned into a blurred mix of rain and fury. The anaconda thrashed in the water, its massive body forming waves that crashed against the boat. Each splash sent cold spray stinging against their skin, like sharp needles. "Row, Charlie. Now." Jake's voice cut through the storm. They struggled together against the wild current, pulling with grit as the oars plunged into the churning sea. Charlie's muscles burned, each stroke a battle against the mounting dread that pressed down on him. With every laborious pull, he could feel the very essence of life surging through him: fear, determination, hope intertwining as they fought against the storm. "We can't stop. Keep going," Charlie yelled, his voice shaky yet fierce. Behind them, the anaconda surged forward, its massive tail propelling it through the water like a torpedo. Charlie dared a glance and felt a chill wrap around his heart. The creature was gaining on them. "Faster!" Jake cried, his eyes wide with terror. Charlie poured everything he had into the oars, desperation fueling his strength. "We have to get away from it." Suddenly, a glance over his shoulder showed the whale breaching the water one last time before submerging again, its grace momentarily overshadowed by the impending danger. In that split second, something profound washed over him. This wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about protecting life, even when faced with unimaginable odds. Let us go, buddy. We're not leaving it behind. Charlie yelled, channeling his energy into one last desperate push. As they rowed with all their might, the wind screamed around them, a cacophony of swirling chaos. But beneath that ferocity, he began to sense a change. The whale had been freed, and perhaps, just perhaps, it wouldn't let the anaconda claim it so easily. Without warning, there was a sudden silence, one so thick and eerie that it felt like the calm before a storm. The waves turned from choppy to still, as if the ocean was holding its breath. Charlie's heart raced. What had happened? In the shadow of the boat, he caught a quick movement. The whale, enormous and powerful, had turned and was now facing the anaconda. The brothers froze, awe and fear intertwining in their chests. The creature launched its head from the depths, showing renewed strength, as if the very spirit of the ocean was behind it. Jake, look. Their eyes widened as the whale dove into the fray, leaping with a force they'd never seen before, crashing back into the water and creating a wall of resistance against the slithering menace. The anaconda recoiled for just a moment, confusion flickering in its feral eyes. Is it defending itself? Jake whispered, shocked. Charlie couldn't breathe. The dynamic had shifted. Together, they were witnessing a divine dance, nature confronting nature's darkest predator. We have to help. Using newfound fervor and determination, they repositioned the boat closer, their hands still gripping the oars tightly. But another lurch of fear struck as the anaconda turned its attention back to them, eyes glinting with malice. Hold on. Charlie shouted, but inside he questioned everything. Would they truly escape this thing alive? The anaconda lunged again, and in that moment, as the brothers braced for what lay ahead, the stakes hadn't been higher. Hope still flickered somewhere deep inside them, but uncertainty loomed larger than ever. Charlie, we can't let it end this way. Jake shouted, urgency blaring in his voice, and just like that, as the storm roared and life hung by a thread, a sudden realization struck Charlie hard. Sometimes, courage comes in the most unexpected ways. But was it enough now? The waves crashed ferociously around them. Would they find a way to turn the tide? The storm raged on, swirling chaos coloring the sky darker with every passing second. Charlie's heart pounded as adrenaline coursed through him. The whale, their ally, was fighting valiantly against the deep threat of the anaconda. He could see its indomitable spirit reflected in the shimmering waters. This battle wasn't just about survival for them, it was a fight for the soul of the ocean. Jake, we have to help, he yelled, gripping the oars tight, eyes focused on the chaos unfolding beneath. In the distance, the whale breached again. It was magnificent, a symbol of hope amidst despair. Its tail flicked fiercely against the waves, sending a spray that captured rainbows in the twilight. It's channeling its energy. Charlie noticed with a burst of anticipation. They weren't alone, they were part of something bigger than themselves. Beneath the surface, the anaconda was becoming increasingly agitated, its focus shifting their way. We can't let it reach us. Charlie, keep rowing. Jake's voice rose above the storm, a fierce determination igniting in his eyes. Charlie nodded, pushing through the fatigue. Together, we're stronger. With every stroke, he felt the unified stance of the townsfolk behind them, fighting for this ocean, for their community, for the memory of Lily, and for the future of his daughter, Lily. Their efforts weren't in vain, they were anchored in love. Look. Jake pointed as the whale dove back down, perhaps sensing the boy's resolve. It's coming. In that moment, the waves crashed wildly again, and from the depths emerged the whale, more beautiful than ever, determination blazing in its eye. It aimed straight at the anaconda, who in response coiled back, its predator instincts now in a panic. The boys steered the boat towards the fray, a surge of adrenaline powering their actions. Charlie remembered Lily's laughter, the twinkle in her eyes as she once marveled at the ocean. It became a beacon of strength inside him. We're not giving up, buddy, he urged the whale, as if it could hear him. And then, in an instant, Charlie had an idea. We need another distraction. Like what? Jake asked, urgency twinged in his voice. Remember those flares? Let us show the whale where to aim. Jake's eyes lit as he dug into the emergency kit, retrieving the last flares and slowly letting the colors ignite the dark waters around them. With the brilliant lights in the storm-saturated air, the whale turned, eyes flickering with understanding. Now! Charlie shouted as he pointed the flare towards the anaconda. The haunting darkness transformed as the flares lit up, casting a radiant glow between them. In a split second, the whale arched its back, powering through the waves and launching directly towards the anaconda with renewed purpose. The boys watched, awed, as the ocean danced around them. The colossal whale was a force of nature, leaping in defiance against one of its fiercest threats. And just like that, it collided with the snake, sending ripples of power echoing through the water. It's working! Jake shouted, pain mixing with awe in his voice. The anaconda reared back, confused and startled by such fierceness. The boys shouted encouragement as they drew closer, the bond forged through this journey standing stronger than any rift. They had fought together, learned what truly mattered through the chaos. They had learned to trust. Charlie, steer us in a circle. We can help the whale. Jake urged, eyes blazing with determination. As Charlie maneuvered the boat, adrenaline pulsed through them, heartbeats matching the rhythm of the ocean. And suddenly, clarity washed over him. This wasn't merely about survival. It was a push and pull of forces greater than them, an intertwining of life and struggle, love and loss. With one final, powerful thrust, the anaconda fell back, twisted and flailed in frustration. The whale breached again, the ocean trembling with the enormity of its spirit. Those watching from beyond, fishermen, townsfolk, even the children, felt the surge of hope in their chests. Yes! Jake yelled, pumping his fist into the air. We're doing it! We've got it! But Charlie held on to the wheel, refusing to let go of the moment, feeling the collective energy of the town surge within him. Let us go! They drew closer again, embracing the surge of unity. The final escape was within their grasp. They just had to stay true to their mission, protect everything they loved. The anaconda writhed one last time but then retreated, its great form slipping beneath the waves, a shadow in the twilight. The ocean calmed, breaths mixing with the rustling winds. Charlie and Jake gazed out at their new ally, the whale circling back, ethereal and graceful. Thank you, Charlie whispered, his voice thick with emotion. At that moment, both brothers felt a profound healing begin. They turned to each other, finally recognizing the bond that had weathered the tempest and love that would carry them forward. Together, they murmured in unison, a vow echoing in the silence left behind. As dawn broke over the horizon, color spreading over the water, Charlie knew they had faced their fears. They had learned to embrace family over ambition, guiding each other back toward hope. And somewhere in the depths of the ocean, the call of life and love resonated deeply, a reminder that sometimes the greatest battles unite us, while others remind us to cherish every fragile moment. Their fight for the whale had led Charlie and Jake to a much deeper realization: the ocean is not just a body of water, it's a part of them, and they forever carry its heartbeat in their souls. As they returned home, a new resolve settled in the hearts of the brothers, along with the townsfolk who had waded into the waves of tragedy and emerged together. This was just the beginning of their journey. Now take a moment to remember that amazing feeling of transformation, and just as Charlie and Jake did, reflect on how powerful it is to stand together with those you love. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support, it matters more than you know. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending, your thoughts count. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. You know true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel.